Thanks, listeners, for joining us. Today's Elko Live here on KELK features our usual Tuesday discussion about Elko City news and issues in advance of the regular City Council meeting. We welcome back in the new year our City Manager, Jan Baum. Always a pleasure, Jan, to see you. Thanks for being on the program.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Lori.
Absolutely. And you brought a special guest today.
Absolutely.
James
Drum roll.
Wiley. Yes, it is. James, you could hardly wait to be here because I know you're super excited about the agenda item today on the council meeting, but also winter recreation's really been fun for a lot of families this season. So.
Yeah, it's turning out to be just fine. I was really paranoid in December because we didn't have any snow at all, but it came in. We've had a series of storms come in, and we've had 2 weekends in which we've been mostly opened or completely open. And we're going to look like we got a few weekends ahead of us at SnoBowl. So come up on Saturdays and Sundays. We open at 9 and we run till 3. We have a full rental shop, and we can get you hooked up if you need equipment, and you can have a good day on the slopes up there.
Yep, a lot of families are doing just that. We're going to get some more details on a special tribute at Elko SnoBowl from James Wiley, our Parks and Recreation Director, coming up. And we also have Jan Baum. And Jan will start the program today going over the agenda, although it's pretty light this time around, which is okay. You had a busy one last couple of weeks.
Right. So the last agenda had a lot of items on it, and you're right. This one is a little bit light, but that might be good because we have a group, the Spiegler group, coming to give a presentation on a rate analysis and modernization study that they did on the water system. And so that'll be an interesting presentation.
We do know, because we were talking about it, ramping up to the new year, Jan, that there are some specific needs, and we are looking at this. We're on this precipice of water and sewer not being adequately funded to pay for some required improvements. These things wear out, right?
Absolutely. The infrastructure, the water infrastructure for the city is aging, and I believe there are probably a lot of residents out there that have experienced water line breaks in their neighborhoods and such. And so those breaks and new infrastructure obviously costs money. And so we had a group come in, and the Spiegler group, that's what they do, is they do water and sewer rate analysis work all over the country. And so they did a pretty comprehensive study of the city of Elko's water and sewer rates. And actually the sewer rate came back that they believe that it is that it's fine, and it's keeping up with the needs. So that was good news.
That's good news. Water might be a different issue.
Yes, our water rates are fairly low. And with the capital improvements and the capital needs for the city in the next 5 years or so, we won't keep up. Our cash won't keep up with the needs of the increased operating costs as well as the infrastructure needs. So this is something that council asked us to look into, and we put into our budget for the 2023-24 year. And it's been a little over 2 years since we've had a water rate increase. And so anyway, we wanted to have a good analysis and before we implemented any rate changes.
And so, Jan, we can safely say this meeting is not to actually increase the rate, it's just to begin the discussion, right? Absolutely.
So this presentation by the Spiegler group, I think it's about 119 pages, but the first 19 pages are the summary, the administrative summary, and so the executive summary, I guess I should say, and so that will be reviewed at the meeting and presented to the City Council.
All right.
They have not seen it before, so I'm sure we will not be making decisions tonight. There will be time for public input, and I'm hoping what we get from this is perhaps staff and the Spiegler group can come back with some recommendations.
All right, so it is an ongoing discussion, but just the first of many, and again, all done in transparency and with public input, but it is listed as possible action item, again, with the direction likely going to staff, and it has to do with our water rate going forward. So again, the good news, sewer rate is fine going forward, according to the study. We could use some improvement, though, in funding some of the water infrastructure. I know in talking with Dale Johnson on the program last fall, Jan, he did emphasize that, we're going to be in for some serious infrastructure issues when we start replacing lead pipes.
Yes, lead and copper pipes are going to need to be that's a state mandate, and we have to, and he's already started that process of evaluating the water infrastructure and seeing where the lead pipes are, and those pipes will need to be changed out, for lack of better words, all the way up to the resident's home, and so that's going to be a huge project, and we're not sure if there's going to be any funding out there for that. So that's something down the road that the city of Elko is going to have to look into.
Yep, just the beginning of those talks too. So if you live in an older home, and I do as well, there's a lot of pride in having an older home, but at the same time, some of those, that can be a costly improvement, I guess, or repair. And hopefully, if people are listening, we might need to really prop up the plumbing trade, because it sounds like people will be busy doing that.
Absolutely. And just like many of the skilled trades in our community and around the United States, plumbers they're hard to find. And so you're right. So that'll be something that we'll hope to be able to find in our community for sure. And then I just want to mention that the water rate study was not only just a water rate study, but also on system modernization, which is important, and can give us some different angles rather than just increasing the rates across the board. And so that, again, that'll be a discussion point for council. And some of this modernization, not only includes advanced meter infrastructure, but leak detection and asset management and smart pumping. So just some different things behind that they took a look at. So it's a very comprehensive study, and it's of course attached to the agenda and in the agenda packet, and so if residents are wanting to read through that in advance or after the meeting, they can get that at elkocity.com and or elkocity.gov, can't remember, and it's in the agenda packet for tonight, January 23rd.
Thanks, Jan. Jan Baum is our Elko City Manager. And again, this afternoon's meeting does open at 4 o'clock today in the council chambers. You can follow along online, elkocitynv, as you said, .gov. And then there's a complete link to download the materials that you need and just to follow along. A little later on the agenda, there is a review and consideration, maybe even approval of updating the position descriptions for water sewer operators. And that's whether or not that's related to the study, Jan.
It really is not related to the study, but currently those two job descriptions include requirements for CDLs, and CDLs right now are very difficult to get. They're very limited. The GBC does have a program for training CDL drivers, but it's very lengthy. I want to say around 6 weeks. And the class fills up very quickly. And so we're changing those job descriptions to say we would like them to get the CDL within a year rather than right away.
All right, so that's up for consideration on the agenda. Backing up a little bit, too, you'll be introducing some new personnel, including firefighting volunteers, which is always a cool thing to see more people willing to step up to that role.
Absolutely. Our volunteers are so important to the City of Elko Fire Department, and Chief Johnston put out an email today that he's excited about coming and introducing these two, Trevor Brunch and Mickey Newman, to council for the two new volunteers. So they're important. They're so important to our fire department. So excited to see two new ones.
That's a great opportunity. And then other new employees included at the animal shelter and a part-time lab tech.
Yes. So the animal shelter, we have had a few new employees recently. We've had some retirements and another employee that moved on to the fire department. And so Elisa Mangum is getting back staffed up, and she's really excited about her new staff. And actually, Savannah is a vet tech. So we're very fortunate when we can find vet techs. They're difficult to find as well. And so we're excited. We now have 2 vet techs on staff, which will really help with the spay-neuter clinic that we do on Tuesdays for all animals that are going to be adopted out to the public.
Yeah, that's really important. And we do see a lot of interaction in the community with social media posts, either helping lost animals get reunited with their owners, or animals that may have been surrendered or not claimed being adopted throughout the community. And some obviously, if there aren't enough homes locally, or if there isn't interest, there are a lot of different rescue groups both within and outside the city, right, Jan, that participate?
Absolutely, yes. We're very thankful for our rescue groups, both in the city and our city, county, our region as a whole, and then also in Reno and Salt Lake. So yes, if the shelter, we have a pretty small shelter, and so if it is overcrowded, then we will take animals to different shelters. And Elisa has a great relationship with different shelters. And then there are rescue groups in town also that will foster animals for us, or help train animals, or different things that we need to have done. And so, yeah, we have a great working relationship with a lot of different rescue groups around.
Well, thanks, Jan, for the update there. And obviously, as we roll into springtime, we'll invite Elisa Mangum to come back. Again, she's a great advocate and wonderful, director of the animal shelter activities and duties. It is a huge responsibility, and I know it's something that she not only takes to heart, but she is a professional, and she has a great staff of dedicated team members, too. And we can talk more about the role of the animal shelter and just the importance of people spaying and neutering so we don't have all these unwanted litters.
Absolutely. It's just very important that people spay or neuter their animals, and we can help reduce that population. So every animal that is adopted out of the shelter is spay or neutered before they are adopted out. And that spay-neuter clinic is, we're lucky enough to have LASSO, a local area
animal shelter support. I know it's a complicated one. Thank you, Curtis Calder.
Yes, Curtis Calder is he is the president of that, and they're a great organization, and they help fund our volunteers. They're not volunteers, but the veterinarians that come in almost on a volunteer basis to do the spay or neuters. And so we're very fortunate to have that spay neuter clinic, and we try to do it once a week. And we have a couple new, which we had on the agenda last time, I believe. We have a couple new veterinarians that are agreeing to help us out, and we're really excited to bring them on board.
Well, great, Jan. Thanks again for that update. It's a huge community and regional responsibility. The city's animal shelter takes in animals from the region as well, and we all have to do our part to prevent those unwanted litters and to keep animals from, obviously, the goal is to keep them from being euthanized, no matter what the circumstance. And like you said, that could involve training or placing them in appropriate homes going forward, but certainly controlling the pet population.
Absolutely, and I just want to do one more plug. So if you do go to our website, elkocity.gov, there, and go to the animal shelter, there are pictures of animals that are at the shelter, either looking for their owners or looking for a new home. And so be sure to get on there and look at those animals.
Thank you, Jan. Jan Baum is our Elko City Manager, and that's a perfect segue into another agenda item. Did we get to all the high points, I think, on today's meeting agenda?
I think we did, except for Roche Bush.
Exactly, and that's why we brought in the big guns, James Wiley, our Parks and Recreation Director. And let's see, I'm going to turn off your microphone, Jan, and give James a little boost here. And welcome to the program. As we said earlier, it's always a pleasure to see you, James. Thanks for everything that you do. And people think that Parks and Rec is mowing lawns. Well, it's a lot more than that, huh?
Yeah, we manage a ski lift in a winter facility, so I never really envisioned myself doing that on a local government level, but here we are, and we're here to talk about Roche Bush today.
Yes, Rocky will be recognized, and I'm sure he is, however, reluctant because he is super modest. He just loves doing this for the community, has been doing it for a few decades, and there's going to be a proclamation and a plaque and some other festivities, right, James?
Yeah, so we definitely felt it was time appropriate to give Rocky some gratitude and some recognition on the efforts that he's played with SnoBowl. SnoBowl started out, I believe, early 90s as an idea to get some winter recreation opportunities here in Elko where the community could enjoy skiing close to home rather than traveling to Reno or Idaho or Salt Lake to enjoy that sport. And Rocky was an integral part in that group of community volunteers and getting it up and off the ground. So it's been 3+ decades of service from Rocky. I believe he's one of the longer tenured individuals that was involved in this effort. And we've had SnoBowl since the early 90s in our community. In 1996, I believe, they finally got the ski lift, which came from Pocatello, Idaho, and was transported over to Elko. And this group of volunteers was able to work with local engineers and experts in ski lifts, and they got that thing installed, and it's been up there ever since. And it's really brought the SnoBowl up to a completely different level, because before that they were just tow rope handles that served the community. So it's really nice to have that lift up there. And then the city took it on. I don't even remember how long ago it was. I think 4 or 5 years ago, the city gained ownership of that, and we currently operate that, and Rocky helps us out. He's part of our staff today. So.
Wow, and that is fantastic. And maybe it's just because I'm getting older, but I always look for an opportunity to thank the people who came before us, James, because we have Rocky with us, and we can thank him today. So, Rocky, if you're listening and you're sort of again, he's very modest, and he probably shies away from this kind of recognition from what I recall. But we want you to have a great day, Rocky, because it's your turn, and we're happy that you are on the planet, that we can thank you, because there are others who have gone before. George Lostra, I'm thinking of George, and I'm thinking of Charles Chester, both, because they were out front of the SnoBowl, whereas people like Rocky were behind the scenes. And I know there are more, right, James?
Yeah, there's more that were involved. I've mostly come to know Rocky through working with him on the ground. But there were several other community volunteers in order to pull this off. And it's an amazing feat of what they did, because I don't know that this happens in too many other places, but a group of community volunteers to create a winter recreation playground for our community is pretty unique, I think. But I wanted to talk a little bit about Rocky and his passion for the sport of skiing, because really where it's a ski facility, and we have a person who certainly has a legacy involved with skiing and SnoBowl. But in talking with Rocky, he started skiing at the age of 3 years old. By 6 years old, he was racing competitively. And when he got into high school, he competed in, I believe, 2 national championships on a high school level. He was fortunate from that point to get a scholarship from the University of Colorado, where he competed in 3 NCAA national championships. He was also good friends with a guy by the name of Billy Kidd, who has visited SnoBowl, who is an Olympic gold medal skier back in the 60s. And so Rocky has had this passion and love for the sport of skiing all along, and just working with him when he's up there and he sees all these kids come up and learn how to ski and embrace the sport of skiing in our own community, you can see that really hits home to him. And he's got such a passion and great emotion for that asset up there in skiing that it's really neat to see, and it carries over. And most people know Rocky up there. I mean, you can see him up there on any given weekend, and he's going around and he's talking to everybody and reminiscing about the good old days and the future and everything else. And it's really neat to see that legacy that he has tied to the sport of skiing right here in our own community.
Oh, James, I'm so pleased that you came on the radio today to talk about Rocky, to tell the story. And I hope it inspires, other people not only to reach out to Rocky, certainly, but, all of the various people that came together. As you mentioned, Rocky's passion, he was able to share that. And This was $1 million chairlift, because I remember this. This was part of the whole campaign. People donated large and small, and it cost tens of thousands of dollars to put that thing up. I mean, we had lots of donations in kind as well, but it was a huge feat, as you said, James, for something that, we can really count on a few weekends out of the year. I mean, we're hoping for that 3-month season, but it's hard to come by sometimes. Yeah,
it really is an amazing story. Personally, having been heavily involved in managing and operating it the last few years, it is a tremendous amount of work. I'm not sure how a group of volunteers pulled it all off. I'm fortunate enough to work for an organization, the City of Elko, who can throw quite a bit more resources in maintaining and operating that facility. So my hats are off to all of those forefathers and volunteers that had the foresight to say, hey, this would be a great area for some winter recreation, and they pulled it off. And it's still up there today, and we hope it continues long into the future. And of course, we want to recognize Rocky and his efforts, and we're going to put a sign up there on the lift that designates it as Rocky's Run.
Oh, nice.
Not only with all of his hard work as a run, but the run itself, the ski run. And we just can't thank him enough. And he's a great guy, and he's still up there every weekend with us, and he's contributing still to this day.
Roche Bush will be honored during this afternoon's regular council meeting for his contributions and continued efforts to improve the Elko SnoBowl. It is a winter recreation site just 20 minutes north on 5th Street. You have I think it's a $20 lift pass on $1 million chairlift, and you get some vertical, and there's also a rope tow, and there's also some tubing, right?
Yeah.
Some weekends.
Occasionally we will do tubing on the tow rope. It's mostly there for skiing, but in years where we've got a little bit less snow or we can't run the lift, we've had that issue before, we'll open that up for weekends for tubers, and that's a great weekend. You can come up and rent a tube, you can ride the tow rope up, and you can use a tube or rent as many tubes as you'd like, but you can use those for your entire family, and everyone has a great time with that as well. We also have a free sledding hill that we groom behind the rental house. So if anybody wants to bring their sleds up, we have a designated area for that, and that's free of charge.
Great. And that, again, is on a road does Rocky usually plow out that, or you have some other folks plowing out the road too?
Rocky plowed that road on his own for many, many years, and I think the county did assist a few times. But right now, it takes a lot of work to get prepared to just run Saturdays and Sundays. So when we get storms, we spend most of the Monday through Friday cleaning up the snow, and city staff does a lot of that work right now with Public Works assisting us.
Well, that's fantastic, James. What a great story of a passion and a dedication and an opportunity for recreation that is not afforded most communities our size. I mean, that's a fact.
Yeah, it's really neat. And the whole purpose of this facility was, one, to provide outdoor recreation in the wintertime, but also to introduce people to the sport of skiing. Skiing is a very expensive sport. I would say that it's gotten a little out of control and out of reach for most people. So if you're an adult and you buy a lift pass, it's $20. If you need equipment, we can hook you up for another $20. So you can ski all day on a lift for $40. That's unheard of. We also have discounts for our kids. An all-day lift pass for them is $15, and we have the same rental package. So you can, as a kid, if you need equipment and want to ski all day on the lift, it's $35. I don't know of any other place that offers that level of service for that price.
Oh, go ahead.
So I had some people comment. I think it was their first time up there, and he was an older gentleman, and he told me, he says, the best $20 I got my money's worth. I've never got that much worth out of my $20 in my life. And so he really enjoyed it that day.
Oh, that's great. Those are wonderful stories and great testimonials. And again, it's an opportunity afforded to everyone at Elko SnoBowl. It's just, as I said, 20 minutes. You literally drive up 5th Street. You'll get the houses start to thin out. The road is dirt. There are signs that take you there. You want to give yourself time so you can drive slowly. That's important.
Yes, please take your time going up there. The road is a dirt road. We maintain it the best we can, but Mother Nature, sometimes in the winter, the road can get a little sloppy or it can be really slick. We recommend you have four-wheel drive, but take your time getting up there. There's no rush to get up there. We open at 9 and we close at 3, so please take your time. One other piece of information I'd like to throw out there, for some reason, if you Google SnoBowl and you want to get navigation via the satellite, it takes you up Mountain City Highway. We have reached out to Google and tried to get them to take that off, but if you follow those satellite directions, you're going to be on a wild goose chase. So everybody needs to call us. We can give you directions, but you just head straight north up 5th Street. Go about 5 miles past the pavement. You'll see a rock with a painted SnoBowl on it, and you'll turn left there and you'll run right into us.
Wow, that's great. And we see so much growth happening up there, James. Those people are so lucky to live within that radius of that SnoBowl. That's so cool.
Yeah, we actually have a couple of lots that are developing right now, right below SnoBowl. It's private property, but there's a new home being built up there right now, and then there's another lot below that I think they have plans to build a home as well. We're happy to have some neighbors up there. It keeps a little more presence up there in the area, and we have more eyes on our asset up there as well.
And you're going to get some electricity soon.
Yeah, that's exciting. This was a long time goal for the Elko SnoBowl Foundation. They had always talked about the need to bring power up there, and right now we have a real opportunity. We're working with the Elko TV district. They're looking to lease a piece of property at the top of the lift, and they need to run power up there to maintain their infrastructure. That power will come from Mountain City Highway up to the top of the site, and we'll be set up to bring that power down to where we need it, down to the parking lot, and then we won't have to rely on that big old noisy generator all the time. It'll be much nicer.
Oh, I get you. You'll get some soaring birds back when that. I know I've been up there when there's no generator going, and you get amazing birds soaring around. So
yes.
Fun. And I guess I want to mention there are some amenities too. Place to change, place to warm up.
We do have it's a double wide modular home. It is very tight in there though, because we get crowded and we rent our equipment out of there. But yeah, there's a few benches in there to warm up. We have picnic tables up at the side for those that want to be out in the weather. But most afternoons, we have some good afternoons up there, especially when the sun's shining and it's very pleasant outside. We also have an invitation out to the food trucks. We've had food trucks up there every weekend so far, at least one, and so there's a concession of some sort up there every weekend.
And you are free to tailgate. That's part of the fun too.
Absolutely, and a lot of people take advantage of that, and it's a great time.
Well, James, thanks so much. If you could see his face, I don't know how eager he ever is to come on the radio, but when you get him talking about something he's really passionate about, it really shows. And we are, just as we are fortunate to have Rocky, James, we are fortunate to have you as our Parks and Recreation Director. You have headed up so many positive projects, and you have brought so many hardworking people together willing to collaborate on these projects to benefit our residents. So thank you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, and I'm just so thrilled to be able to give Rocky some recognition tonight. It's well-deserved, and truly we have a legacy here, and that will carry on far into the future, I'm sure.
James Wiley is our Parks and Recreation Director. James, thank you. I know we'll have you come back on, and as springtime rolls up on us, we're going to be opening up the golf course again, swimming pool. I don't know if there's any quick update on that. We had an issue with the heater in the showers, right?
Yeah, so quick update. We needed to replace the heat exchanger, which provides hot water to our showers. That went out recently on us. There's a little bit of a lead time in getting that manufactured. I believe it is near completion as far as it being manufactured. We need about another week or so to get it shipped out here, and then we also need to schedule for the install. So our closure got delayed a little bit, and I'm hopeful that we could open mid-February, if not before we get into March. But we're working on that, and we want to get open back up as soon as we can.
All right. And then between James and Jan, I don't know if there's an update, but we're all looking forward to groundbreaking on the Boys and Girls Club pool, maybe in March or...
Well, I think that was the original date. I don't know, I have not had that confirmed recently, but I know they're moving through the building permit process, and there's some plans out there, and I don't know if it'll begin the beginning of March, but I'm hoping for this spring sometime for sure.
All right. It's still a little cold and sloppy in March. I don't know where
Right.
But hey, we can all dream, right? We're going to get right on top of that.
Absolutely. I think we can all, we just can't wait for it to get started. So it's an exciting project. And I just want to give a little kudos as well to James and his team. And the snow always brings a little extra work for them. And we just appreciate them so much. They do an amazing job. So I just want to put that out there.
Yeah, thank you. It was a great time to have you come on the radio, James, along with Jan. And again, just to, step back and think about the things that we have to be grateful for in this community. It can get a little tumultuous sometimes, and people are passionate about any number of subjects, and even national news can be a little stressful. We've got to get through 2024 together, but we're going to get through it together as a community. And this project, this SnoBowl, is just an example of what great common themes we can find when we set aside differences. So you've got to make it work.
We do, and sometimes I don't know how we figure it out, but we do, and it takes our entire community to keep these assets going. And what a cool thing to have in our community. I think it's very unique where we have this amenity on this level, and it's provided as a service to the community.
James Wiley, Elko City Parks and Rec, and of course Jan Baum, our city manager.
Yeah, and I just want to say to everybody, come out this weekend and celebrate Roche Bush.
Oh, that'll be so much fun. It'll be a brand new plaque on Rocky's Run.
Absolutely. We'll get that hung up before the weekend. So it just got finished. So we picked it up today.
Good. Unveiling that at the City Council meeting, 4 o'clock this afternoon. Thank you, listeners, for joining us for another edition of our radio show highlighting city news and issues. Thank you both for being here today.
Thank you.